Hey dreamers, and welcome back to Dreamers Unite, the talk show for dreamers. I am your host, Sherry Pullum, and again, I am grateful, honored, and privileged that you have come to this channel to spend time with moi. So thank you very much. On this channel, well, what we do is we share stories, we share information, resources, we do talent showcases, we do everything necessary to help you manifest your dreams. And today I have a super special guest who is beautiful inside and out, and she is a branding and marketing strategist. We all need that when it comes to our dreams, certainly. So let me tell you a little bit about this amazing woman. Sandra Garcia is a marketing and branding strategist and diversity, equity, and inclusion consultant. She is the founder of Encounter Your Potential, where she develops and executes marketing strategies for business success. Her corporate experience includes such organizations as Clear Channel Outdoor, Time Warner Cable Media, People.com, and CNNMoney.com. Sandra is proud of her Afro-Latina heritage, and in 2012, she launched Afro-Latinabeautycom, an online destination for Afro-Latinas to share their stories. Sandra has received a number of marketing and diversity and inclusion awards, including recognition from Forbes 30 Under 30, United Nations Associations of New York, and Latino Leaders Magazine. She is one amazing, as I said, woman who's on the move, on the rise. I can't wait to bring her and share her with you here on Dreamers Unite. Sandra, welcome, welcome, welcome to Dreamers Unite. Thank you so much.
Hello, thank you for having me, and thank you for bringing me to share space with fellow dreamers. I'm excited for our conversation today.
I am more than excited, beyond excited for our conversation. I want to start off with what makes a successful brand?
A successful brand, okay. I would first say it has to be recognizable. So a successful brand, when you see it, you must recognize, you must be able to identify it. So for example, if I say McDonald's, what is that visual that comes to our heads? The golden arches. If I say Nike, what is that visual of Nike that comes to our minds? It might be that check mark. So those are successful brands that have built brand recognition. So successful brands are recognizable and identifiable.
Okay, so for many of us out here trying to develop our brand and our logo, how do you start with a great logo? What does that look like? Because I went through that
Yeah.
experience myself, and it was tough.
Yeah, great question. I think one, it's important when you're going through the process, having some kind of knowledge of what the process entails. Why are you coming up with a logo? What does that actually signify, so that you can also know what direction to go into? It is how people are, it's your brand identifier. It's how people are going to identify your business, whether it is your personal business or a service that you're offering, or is a product, right? So brands can also be people. And a great example of that is Oprah.
Yeah.
If you think of Oprah and her branding, it's her name, Oprah, but that O is so identifiable. And people do call her O as well. And that script signature is so signature to her. So I think it's important to understand what the logo signifies, which is a representation of your business, your service, or just yourself. And then also go through the process of knowing, what is that brand identity? What do you want people to feel when they connect with your brand? Are you trying to inspire them? Are you trying to make them feel warm? Do you want to showcase professionalism? So as you're creating your logo, considering the colors also helps you land on that, because colors all mean something. So there's a color chart that I like to share with my own clients, where I have them go through that color chart and I ask them, okay, what color, based on what feeling people get from colors, defines your brand. So like black and white can be very chic and elegant. So when you think about like designer brands like Chanel, it's black and white, right? It's very chic, it's very clean, it's very elegant, very upscale. So I think it's important to go through the color and then also text font. Bold font means something different than script font. You can also have kind of like a cartoonish font. So I think it's important to consider the font type and then also the colors and what all of those signify and what are the messages that those things are sending people. So it's a lot deeper than just, let me put some text together that states my name and put it out there. Like, thought has to go into it because it is beginning to identify your personal or professional brand.
That is such valuable advice that dreamers, I hope that you're taking that huge nugget in, because I'm throwing that at you. To what Sandra said, it's important to look at, well, I guess really to start inward, right? And to figure out who you are, especially if the brand is you. But even if you're starting a company, right? That company ultimately still represents you.
Mm-hmm.
So those same questions, does that apply when you're also looking at a business brand?
Absolutely. The process is the same. And people are actually more familiar and are willing to do the due diligence when they're thinking of a business brand versus their personal brands.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually challenge people to look at it in the reverse. When we're looking at ourselves, most individuals do not create a logo of their own brands, and our brands are our names. And that is the first brand I like to say that we represent. The first thing that people know you as and can begin to identify you as is the name that you're given. One of the first things you're asked to repeat back to your parents once you start speaking is your name. What's your name? The first thing people ask you is, what is your name? That's your first identifier, one of your first identifiers. So that is the first brand that we represent. So it is important for us to also own our own brands. And one way you can do that is by turning your actual name into a logo.
I love that. I love that. And even if you have a company, you're saying you should always start with your own brand first, your own self first.
Yes, exactly.
Which I think that brand also represents what your values are, what you're going to, what you can promise people, what can you deliver, right? I know one thing my great grandmother used to say is, Sherry, all you have is your word. So, in developing a brand, for me, it's always important to convey that your word is important and it's valuable.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. What is your definition of success?
Now, this is one of those questions that if you ask however many people, they will give you a different response. So my personal definition of success is being able to live life on my own terms. Freedom to me is success, and freedom can come in multiple different ways. It can mean freedom of time. It can mean the monetary access to feel free. Freedom can mean lifted weight of stress, being free of stress. So for me, success equals freedom, and freedom of negativity and things that to me cause or bring on feelings of negativity. So for me, that is success. And through freedom, I associate that to what money can do for me, what relationships can do for me, what the work that I do I choose does for me, the people that I spend my time, like all of it. So I would say success for me equals freedom.
We are cut from this, the same cloth. I agree 100%. 100%. Do you consider yourself successful?
I say I'm in the pursuit always of happiness, So I am on that path, and I do feel at this present time that I'm so aware and in tune with myself. So I know when I'm feeling free, and some days you feel less free because you feel that little stress in your belly, right? Like
Right.
that little, when stress just builds up, you feel it in your belly. Some days are stressful. Some days are more stressful than not. So I say that I'm actively in the pursuit of happiness, which is freedom. So I think it's also the journey and not so much a destination. I'm constantly journeying. I love Michelle Obama's book. I say I'm constantly becoming and becoming a better version of myself. So therefore, I'm constantly in the pursuit of happiness that comes with freedom.
Can you say that one more time for our dreamers? Say it.
Constantly in the pursuit of happiness that comes with freedom.
Constantly in the pursuit of happiness that comes with freedom. Boom. Catch that nugget.
Boom.
Catch that
Boom.
nugget. Did you see yourself doing this when you were younger? Are you living your dream right now?
I'm making up every day. So I say I'm a child of immigrants. I was born in Honduras, Central America as well. My first language was Spanish. We were doing okay in Honduras, middle class, maybe, a little bit above middle class in Honduras, because it's a poor country. But in the US, I say we were poor. We were poor. So my parents, they instilled in me, or they brainwashed me to believe that I was supposed to be a doctor, that I wanted to be a doctor. Mm-mm. And my sister was supposed to be a lawyer. Did we become a doctor or a lawyer? Absolutely not. And I say that whoever my patients were supposed to be, it is a blessing, because you would not have wanted me as your doctor. It would not have gone well.
I consider you a doctor in terms of you are healing, really, in terms of helping companies really grow and heal them to get better in a way. So
Yeah.
you're a branding doctor, this marketing strategy
Ooh.
doctor. So
I love that. Oh, I didn't think about that one, but that is good. That's good.
be there, right?
Yes, we are healing, all healing in our own different ways. So that is very powerful. I love that.
Yeah.
So I realized in college, when I kind of had that aha moment that medical school was not going to be for me, that I was consuming a lot of media, a lot of pop culture, celebrity culture, fashion, beauty. And if I was going to work for the rest of my life, then I should be doing something that I actually enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
So I had that aha moment in college. And from there, it's just been the pursuit of figuring it out. And I have allowed myself space and grace along the way, not knowing that's what I was doing, to try different things. So I went into the corporate media sales and marketing space, worked at Time Warner straight out of college. There I learned that sales or cable sales wasn't really my thing. Went to cnnmoney.com, learned a lot more there, worked at a .com, so got a digital experience. But there I realized that I like the marketing stuff that I was doing a lot more. I love putting together those proposals for clients and helping to ideate solutions and solving their problems for reaching their target audience. I like that so much more than going in to pitch and to sell. And I was learning about myself as I was learning about the media industry, and then also learning about the function of sales. So knowing that, taking that knowledge, I went to people.com, and there I was working on the marketing solutions team. They're ideating and creating big ideas, 10-pole ideas around their most beautiful, sexiest man alive, red carpet opportunities. And I love that. And it was also a full circle moment, because it was me spending time on people.com in college, which helped for me to realize that, okay, you should not be going to medical school. So yeah, I learned so much at people.com, and I also became hungry because I was starting to really get into the things that I love to do. And there I boomeranged back to Time Warner, but now with digital knowledge. And I went and joined a new product marketing team. I think when I got there, the team was like 3 people. I was the 4th person. And by the time I left, we were 15 plus. but we help to launch products internally, like search solutions and placing digital ads, so many things. So I learned so much more there. And as I was journeying through my corporate career, always picking up nuggets and knowledge that I would apply in the future to my own business. I knew I would work for myself. So I was always going into work and going into meetings with intention of learning, because I knew that all of this would be applied to how I operate my own business in the future. So I was investing in myself long before I started working for myself, because that's another form of investment through knowledge and education.
Got it. Yes,
Mhm.
absolutely. Tell us a little bit about your company and what you do.
Yes. So after all that time spent in corporate America, working at big companies and helping big companies help other companies make more money, I branched off and started working in counter marketing and public relations full time. Now, the company has since rebranded to Encounter Your Potential. We rebranded, keyword. So although you create a business name and a logo to get started, you're not stuck with that name. You can always change it again and rebrand it so that it is better connected and reflective of what it is that you do. So I say that Encounter Your Potential is more reflective of what we do now, which is servicing businesses and leaders and visionaries with marketing, branding, business consulting, which includes diversity, equity, and inclusion consulting services. So I can work with small businesses, I can work with nonprofits, and I also consult with some larger organizations as well.
What have you learned in diversity and inclusion that you can share with people that perhaps can help them in their own personal life and as a business?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a big part of business, and it's a big part of doing business today, and it cannot be ignored. So we are the most diverse that we've ever been, and we're only going to get more diverse in terms of representation and differences as the years go on. So it is important that for us to be successful in business, that we get comfortable with diversity and get comfortable with being able to work with people who are different from us, because quite frankly, it is smart business. Diversity is smart business. Diversity of thought, diversity of perspectives, diversity of backgrounds, all of the differences that we may bring to a table to work on an idea is gold. It's wealth. And diversity, equity, and inclusion is so important. And I view diversity, equity, and inclusion through a marketing lens. So marketing is all about connecting and reaching and creating a relationship with your end audience. And because we are more diverse now than we've ever been, it is important to be mindful of these differences and the way that you need to engage and connect with diverse audiences. So I approach my diversity, equity, and inclusion consulting practice, an arm of the business, with my marketing lens and with my marketing background, because it's really connecting with people and
Yeah.
connecting with people to solve for differences and also gaps that have been created because of that lack of awareness and attention to. And the conversation doesn't just end with diversity. So diversity means that you are showcasing that there are a lot of different people in the room. But
Mhm.
then you got to get into the conversations of belonging. So people say inclusion, right? But I don't want to be included, because that already tells me that I didn't belong there, or that I'm not part of. So don't include me. I want to belong, right? Amongst our friends is a natural belonging. And I think that the conversation of inclusion, yes, you want to be invited, right, to the party and all of that, but I want to just feel like I belong there. And I think that it's important to share that belonging is a two-way street, and diversity, equity, and inclusion, all of that is a two-way street. And I think that it's not just for, you know, the minority to, do the work. I think as representing minorities, which we will be the majority in a few more years, for us to also do that work as well, because it has to be a two-way street. So bringing awareness to it where it is lacking, and then also presenting actionable results to how to mitigate and solve for it, even if it won't solve it right away, but what can we do? What are the baby steps? What are the small actions that lead to bigger impact? I think that's an unfortunate social responsibility that we have, but it is a responsibility that we have to pay attention to in order for the next few years to look better.
You started Afro-Latinabeautycom to share
Yes.
stories. So tell us about that.
Right. So that was a passion project, or is a passion project, that I started years ago, and I started it in silence. And really because I've grown up between cultures, always. I've never quite fit into any particular group. Never. And I was also always challenged growing up, always consuming media, to have to find representations of myself, pieces that represent me in multiple places. So I could go to Essence, but then also I had to still pick up Latina, and then still pick up People. Like, there wasn't all of that in one place. When it came to watching actual television and consuming TV growing up, which now would be video content, because the youth of today and all of us just find it everywhere. It could be YouTube, Disney Plus, Beyonce just came out on Disney Plus, but there was no one destination that showcased people that looked like me or that had the same cultural makeup. 100% Latina, but I'm a brown-skinned Latina. First language is Spanish, but I have to explain my Hispanic identity. I've had to explain it all of my life. So before Afro-Latina became kind of like a key term or a trending term, the blog was launched in order to capture images of other Afro-Latinos who we may not even be aware are also Hispanic, and well-known Afro-Latinos, just to bring awareness to the fact that, hey, she's Black, or he's Black and he's also Hispanic. Carmelo Anthony, Gina Torres from Suits. I watch Suits just to watch Gina Torres and her outfits on Suits. So it was a way of kind of sharing my personal story and creating an online destination where little girls like me could potentially do a Google search and land on images of other individuals who share the same cultural experience as them.
And how do people find it? How do people get there?
Afro-Latinabeautycom.
Okay, and are you on social media as well with that? Same?
Yes, so I do have a social handle for that. I definitely lead with my personal handle as like the aggregator of all things Sandra. So Sandy_Garlow, Garlow. And from there you can link off to like multiple different accounts that I also add content and share content and information on.
Do you experience that negative voice, that internal voice that sometimes says, I can't do that? And do you experience that? And how do you shut that voice down?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Imposter syndrome is real. And I sent a girlfriend of mine a text message just a few days ago. She's working at this large tech company, and she was having a moment like, how am I here? And I was like, listen, that's a real feeling. So feel the feels and snap out of it. Imposter syndrome is so real when you're challenged, or you feel challenged by situations and environments where you have to perform at a higher capacity and at a higher vibration, but we're just being challenged, and that is all. So I definitely feel it. I am entering rooms and advising, consulting, and coaching people who are leading large organizations. And I don't have that experience of leading large organizations, but I am coming in and saying, hey, based on my observations, this is what you should do to lead your team of 200, 500, 1,000 people plus. Or you are running a multi-million-dollar business, and this is what you should be doing in order to get from point A to point B. Who am I? How am I qualified to do that, right? You can sometimes get into these situations or scenarios where you are second guessing yourself or overthinking the process. And for me, I like to feel the feel, identify what it is that I'm feeling. And I believe in words of affirmation.
Mhm.
I, you know, I've said this out loud before and I sounded crazy when I've said it, but I speak to myself. I am coaching myself through moments all the time. Before I get up to speak to an audience, I'm like hyping myself up, like, come on, girl, you got it. Let's go.
Yes.
But when I'm running and I'm working out, same thing, like just keep going, keep going. One more mile to go, just keep going. This is going to feel so good once you're done. Or this may feel difficult right now, but just keep going. And once you're done, it's going to be amazing. I had a moment, I'm human, where 3 weeks ago, I delivered a presentation, and, sometimes we're perfectionists. And for me, I didn't feel like it went as well as it could have gone. There was a question that I felt like I had a better answer for, but for some reason, real time, the answer just wasn't coming to me. And I beat myself about it for like a weekend. I just kept replaying the whole situation in my head. And then a week later, have a recap, and they're like, oh, it was great. And I was like, I was just beating myself up. So it's natural, it's human. I think it's okay to identify those feelings because awareness and being in touch is important, but I think it's also important to find ways to cope. And that can be words of affirmation. You have to be your biggest cheerleader as well. So know when it's happening so you can cheer yourself out of it. We may have a cheer squad, but they may not always be there. And the group chat may not always respond as fast as you may need to, or your significant other may not be able to show up whenever they have to. So you really do have to be your biggest cheerleader and work on getting yourself through situations and over that hump. And then even if it may not go as desired, being able to like shake off the funk and keep it going.
If we could get to a place where we could just look at it and say, that's not good or bad, but just observe, come from a place of observing as opposed to judging, I think we could save ourselves a lot of angst. And I love you said to name it. Name what it is, because once you can identify what it is, I think that helps you to say, okay, I see that, I see what that is, and then you can be able to move forward. Great.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're going to do a double boop, boop. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good nuggets. Dreamers, I hope you're catching all of these wonderful offerings from Sandra. Really, this is like priceless. What's your why? Why do you work so hard every day? What's your why?
Yeah.
Work hard.
Such a great question, and I love this question. So I share that I'm here for a greater reason, and I'm here to live a life that's not just for me. So I grew up with a very proud father that legacy building was important to. I didn't always understand what he meant and what he was doing until I started working and entered the professional chapter of my life. And I realized that even as I work and even as I do the work that I do, it's not just for me, it is not for a check, it is not transactional, but it's for the larger impact of the work that I am doing. So, for example, helping a client, it's not, yes, I do need to pay bills, we all do, but it's greater than that and it's bigger than that. And I approach it in the impact that it'll have, not just for that person, but what it'll allow that person to do, and the then domino impact that will have. So being able to help someone put together a marketing strategy helps them run their business better, which can mean helping them employ other people, which means that they're probably helping food on someone else's table. So I view that as a connection to my purpose and a connection to the work that I do. So my spider web of impact is much greater than the people that I have direct touch points with. And as I legacy builds, I'm here to help and hyper focus on women owned businesses and women leaders and visionaries, as well as just minority owned businesses and minority leaders and visionaries, because that is the audience that I represent. That is the confusion that I represent, because I have to explain my cultural identity all the time. But I want to bring awareness and also just extend my spider web of influence, so that I say my time here on earth was not just for me, but it is long lasting and has greater impact beyond my time here.
Yes, yes. And I'm going to give it a triple yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that is, oh, Sandra, that's the goosebump moment that I love to get.
I say meant for more so often. I'm like, I am meant for more. We are meant for more. So let's not settle for enough. Let's go for more. Like, let's be more. Let's do more. We're meant for more.
Right. And you don't mean it in the sense of acquiring more things, getting more money. It is about,
Mhm.
the more is about fulfilling your purpose. It's
Exactly.
that saying of die empty, leave this
Mhm.
planet or transition on empty, leave the
Mhm.
planet, every single thing you have. So you're asking for more so you can pour out more.
Absolutely. And if we tie this back to one of your original questions of what is success? So, success, again, to me, is freedom. And freedom is something that I also love to share with other people. So, freedom of stress that can come with, I don't know how to do this, so I need to outsource this work. But now you solving for that has now created and gifted you freedom of now being able to potentially be able to help someone else get a little bit of freedom as well. So it's just that domino effect of sharing what success means to me. So meant for more is more impact, greater impact, more freedom, more happiness.
Yes, I love it. More freedom, dreamers, more happiness, more impact. More freedom,
Mhm.
more happiness, more impact. If you can just walk away with that today, you should feel like $1,000,000. Do you have any fear? And what do you fear and how do you overcome it?
Yes. So I've been known to say since I was a little girl that I am afraid of death. I'm afraid of dying. And then I had to unpack that and I had to figure out why. And that is connected to my why. Because, so this is memorable for me when I realized I was afraid of fear. It was fifth grade, and a girlfriend's mom passed away from cancer.
Oh,
And she was there one day and then she just wasn't anymore. And then after a while, her not being there became normal. And then we moved on. So I realized that I didn't want that to happen to me. I didn't want to be here one day and gone, and then it's like I wasn't even here. So that's connected to my why, and that is why I work and think of my spider web effect of influence, because I'm here not just for this moment, but for the impact that I want to have even after I leave this earth. So my fear of death as a early, like as a child, is connected to my adult purpose because I've been able to unpack and solve it. And now it's interesting that I say I'm so free and I'm living my life the way that is meaningful to me every day. Because if I say this all the time, it probably sounds so awful, but if I get hit by a bus later today or tomorrow, I have lived my life the way that it's felt good to me, and I will be okay with that.
I think that is one of the strongest beliefs and core values that someone can carry with them. That you are actually living your life purposefully. Nothing is promised. And to top that off, guess what? You don't have to be gone off this planet to not really be living.
Oh
Okay?
my God. There's so many people who are alive, not living.
Not living. So to have lived a life, I think, is the greatest blessing you can have, to totally have lived. So no matter how long that is, dreamers and people watching, everyone's really a dreamer. Truly, dreams are sacred, people.
Right.
This isn't like just dreams, falling out of the sky talk. This is real conversation. Dreams are sacred. We're God's dream. Nothing happens without our thought first, in using our imagination, and then, of course, speaking it into existence. That's powerful what you said. Again, another great nugget, another great people to catch.
Thank you. You have me tapping into like all of it today.
Yes, and that is what really, for me, what's so important about this show. Because it's not just about what we're doing externally, although that is wonderful, because we need that too. But it's about how are we living on the inside? Because we
Oh,
all
yeah.
know people that appear to be successful on the outside, and on the inside, they're racked with turmoil,
Mm-hmm.
struggle, and all of us have it. So that's universal. So how do we overcome it? And all these things that you're saying to people is real practical advice to help them externally, in their own business, in their strategy, in their logo, in their brand building. But then there's also that internal that we absolutely must deal with. And we need that strength and encouragement from people like you, that
Yeah.
help us to get through. So thank you for that. Bravo, I say, bravo. Um,
Thank you.
Yeah, I am going to ask you to complete a sentence.
Yes.
And it
Let's do it.
really comes off the heels of what you just said. Before I leave this planet, I want to.
Travel to as many countries as possible. I love culture. I love experience. So I want to experience as many cultures and see as many things as possible.
Dreamers, we're affirming that with Sandra, traveling all over the world. No limits, no limitation. Every country that you ever dreamed of seeing, I'm claiming it with you, and our dreamers are too. How can we find you again? Tell us.
Yeah. So first, you can visit my personal website, SandraElisaGarcia.com, and that is Elisa, which is Lisa with an E. And on there, you can just read up all about me, and then also from there, connect to all my social platforms. But to connect with me on Instagram, I am an Instagram and a LinkedIn girl. So you find me by going to Sandy, SANDY__Garlo. And then we can stay connected from there.
Yes, and magic, I feel, can happen. You are,
Magic.
yes, magic, because that's what you create, Sandra. That's what you create, magic. And thank you for bringing your magic and your gifts and your conversation and your authenticity and your knowledge and expertise to Dreamers Unite. Thank you so much. I appreciate your.
Thank you. Thank you for creating the space. Thank you for allowing me to connect with your dreamers. And let's just continue to dream, not just while we're sleeping, but also dreaming while we're awake.
That's right. That's the best dreaming we can have, really. It's dream.
Yes.
And then put those dreams into action, dreamers, because we're not all about just dreaming and you don't take any action steps. Thank you so much, dreamers. And if you haven't subscribed by now, I'm going to say it again. Please subscribe. What are you waiting for? For all this great uplifting content, what are you waiting for? Subscribe, hit the blue bell. Please come back and join me. Thank you again, dreamers, and I will see you again next time.